Every real estate agent is going to have plenty of opinions about the city where he lives, but it's always great to learn directly from the locals. So today we're going to be visiting several spots in Richmond, meeting folks who live here and asking them some questions about what they love and what they hate about the city. I think you're going to be surprised by some of the answers. Stay tuned. Ladies, tell me your names.
I'm Lauren. I'm Brittany.
Brittany, thank you so much for joining this video.
Of course.
How long have you lived in Richmond?
I've lived in Richmond for about 8 years.
I like seven and a half, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Jason, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thanks for your time.
Definitely.
How long have you lived in Richmond?
My whole life.
That's a minute.
Yeah.
And you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, that's a good sign. Nicole, it's good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
Definitely, of course.
How long have you lived in Richmond?
So actually we've lived in Richmond. It was a year, the end of June, like June 20th of 2023 we moved here.
So Stan, how long have you lived in Richmond?
I moved here in August, so it's around a year.
So you're a newcomer.
I am.
Joshua, it's good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time. How long have you lived in Richmond?
All my life. I just turned 39 on the 1st of October, so yeah.
Well, Casey, how long have you lived in Richmond?
I've lived in Richmond for 2 years now.
2 years. Well, Tony, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for taking the time. Tell me, how long have you lived in Richmond?
I'm actually from Richmond, but I moved to the country in Louisiana for high school, and then I came back after I graduated college, and I've been here for about 7 years.
Okay, all right. So welcome back. What is one of your favorite things to do here in Richmond, other than drinking coffee at Blanchard's and maybe coming to the Vale here?
I like Richmond because I feel like there's so many things to do. I feel like some cities it might just be like, oh, springtime or, one season. But I feel like Richmond is not limited in that. There's something to do in every season. And so I really can't pick. Maybe summertime outdoor activities.
Yeah, I like that there's so many things to do around Richmond all the time. There's always a festival or a park to walk around, some event to do. The Watermelon Festival is really fun, and that's coming up. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. What is just one of the many things that you love to do here in Richmond?
I mean, one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is to walk my dog around the parks and stuff. I love walking.
Yeah.
I like walking my dog and hanging out. And chilling anymore. I used to love to go, but now I kind of hang out.
Well, we're sitting here in the Fan. It's one of the best places in the city to walk. Is this where you get around with your dog?
Oh, I mean, actually, I live across the bridge, but I used to live right downtown. Yes, I have walked all through here.
What is one of your favorite things to do in Richmond?
Literally walk Bird Park, honestly. We live like 2 blocks away, and when we found our house, we were like, we saw this lake, and we were super surprised to see there other 2 lakes, 3 lakes right here. And then we walked down the street, and we saw the entrance to Maymont, and we were like, no way. This is insane, the amount of green space and water and access. So, yeah.
Is there anything you particularly like to do here in Richmond?
Well, I think one of the biggest attractions is the river, and there are different ways of enjoying the river, right? So certainly getting out there and doing kayaking has been fun. I've enjoyed hiking and cycling around the river. So that's a big highlight.
What's one of your favorite things to do here in Richmond?
The nature walks, like the parks. We have some nice parks, family parks as well. Then sometimes, if you're young, there's a lot of entertainment like bars and stuff like that, in different areas.
What's one of your favorite things to do in Richmond?
I love the theater scene in Richmond, so I love going to see plays. There's a bunch of really, really cool local theaters, and they all have really good messages.
Do you have a favorite local theater?
Probably Firehouse Theater. They do a lot of experimental theater, which is really cool.
What's one of your favorite things to do here in Richmond?
One of my favorite things to do is go down to Bird Park, and then also I like going down to the rocks, going down there and just doing some of the things that you can do down there, like chilling out on the water and stuff like that.
Why do you think so many people are moving to Richmond?
There's a lot to do here. I think there's a lot of housing that's being built up too, so it gives more opportunity for people to live here. What do you think, Brittany?
I think also the diversity, not just of races, but beliefs, religions, just the diversity is a huge piece.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people are moving to Richmond?
I don't really know the answer to it. I think it's a pretty easy place to live compared to a lot of places I've visited. It's chill. We don't have a ton of traffic, stuff like that. But it is actually growing as things get busier. We don't have anything crazy, but we do get traffic now. Like, we used to ever have traffic. We get a little bit of it, but it's still an easy place to live, I think.
So why do you think so many people are moving to Richmond?
I think, for our reason, we kind of wanted it to slow down a little bit. We wanted to get out of the traffic, find a place that, for also diversity. We wanted to have a bit more diversity, but then access to medical, because you've got BCU and you've got just some of the best medical facilities here. Just like, so many reasons. And the arts, the community that's here, there's so many things that you can do within super close walking distance. You don't have to worry about parking. A lot of things are free. They meet the VMFA, like amazing. Yeah. So all of those things.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people are moving to Richmond?
I do think part of the draw is you have a cultural center, in an urban area, but it's not a massive metroplex. Like if you think about some of these others out there, like Dallas or Atlanta, Washington, D.C., it's just nice to be able to have some access to culture and different great places to eat, etc., but not have to deal with the massive scale of many of these other large metroplexes.
What do you think is making so many people move to Richmond?
I think just how upcoming of a city it is. I'm very involved with the art scene, so the art scene is really, really big here. And Richmond has a lot to offer. There's a lot of different areas, each are different. They all kind of have their own vibe to them.
What do you think is making so many people move here?
It's a great place to live. It's lots of things to do. It's very much a bustling, growing town. So I very much understand how people could want to come and move here. Because it's pretty neat, different layout here than most places.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are some of the best areas to live in Richmond?
I'm kind of biased, so I'm in the Forest Hill area, and so I feel like it's right outside of the city, kind of, and so you have parks, but you're outside of the city, but you're still close enough.
I like the Fan area. I also like Scott's Addition. I've lived there too, but I really like the Fan. I have a convenience store basically in my parking lot, and that is very not convenient,
Do you have a favorite part of the city or the surrounding counties?
Not really. I like the city. The city is my favorite.
Okay. And what part of the city?
I've been living down in Shockoe Bottom forever. I like it down there the best. Just because it's where I'm comfortable.
Yep.
It's where I've spent the most time. But yeah.
In your opinion, what are the best areas to live in Richmond?
Well, I definitely would have to say where we are here at Bird Park, but Forest Hill was one of the areas on our list of the Fan, of course, the Museum District, the North Side. Yeah, there's so many options that you don't feel like you're losing out if you're in one or the other.
In your opinion, what are the best areas to live in Richmond?
Well, I'm an advocate now for the South Side. I've learned now there's all these different areas of Richmond. Certainly the major divider is the river, and South Side, I really have liked Forest Hill and this area that we're in.
What are your favorite places in the city to live? What do you think are the best places?
I think the best area is probably around Grove Avenue in the Fan or the Museum District. I live in Jackson's Ward, which is one of the not greater areas.
Do you have a favorite part of Richmond or the surrounding area?
Favorite part of Richmond, I would probably say, is just I'm a little biased. I like Southside because I'm from the Southside.
Yep.
So it's I like the hustle and bustle of the moving around and always having something to do. So probably Southside.
What advice would you give someone thinking about a move to Richmond?
I think Richmond is also a place where you can find community here. There's a lot of people that like to do the same things, whether it be pickleball or events, different groups that you can get with. And so I think that could be a big draw for Richmond too.
That's good. I think I would, think about the things that are really important to you. So if it's being outdoors, if it's church, if it's coffee shops, do some research, make a list of the top things that are important to you, and then kind of just be searching.
What advice would you give to someone who is thinking about making a move to Richmond?
I would advise to come down, do a couple weekends and check it out, see what's happening in the area, that particular, time frame, see what's happening at at the VMFA. They had the samurai exhibit. I think it's only for another week or so. But
What advice would you give to someone who is thinking about a move to Richmond?
You know, I think housing is part of the challenge. You know, it is a very competitive market. Patience, you know, trying to get a feel of where you would like to live. I mean, it's one of those things that I think if you have the opportunity to do so, maybe rent for a little bit just to get a feel for the city.
What advice would you have for somebody who's thinking about moving to Richmond?
I would say take it with a grain of salt, take your time, especially if you're moving from a bigger city, you know, New York, you know, stuff like that. It's a little smaller, but as you see, you hear the sound in the background. We do not have some fun, but it's definitely smaller, very calmative, and, you know, wholesome.
What advice would you give to someone who is thinking about making a move to Richmond?
I think do it and just get involved in the community in whichever way you can. Like we have the Flying Squirrels games that are really, really cool. Like I said, the theater, there's a lot of cool museums, like the VMFA and the Virginia History Museum is super, super cool. There's also a Holocaust Museum that's really interesting. And there's just lots to do. There's Carytown and shops everywhere. So I think it's a great area.
Did anything surprise you after you moved to Richmond? You were expecting one thing and then it turned out to be different.
I don't think I really had that many expectations. I think I moved here for work, so it was like, I need a job and I'm here. But I feel like I'm still learning and still finding new places. I mean, you could probably eat something different every day. Like, you don't have to go to the same place. And so I think I love the exploring of it.
I think when I first moved here, the perception was that, you know, it's the capital. It's going to be large city vibes or corporate. I also moved here for a job. I didn't really know what to expect. And then when I got here, there's also like small town vibes too. You know, the community of people, things are spread out. It's not just like really concentrated in all areas. And so I was able to make friends easier. It felt more homey than I expected.
Have you ever run into people who moved here and then they were surprised to find that something was different than they expected?
Most people that come here and visit find it to be an easy place to be as well. I mean, some people love it, some people don't. I mean, some people prefer something a little busier or a little bit more going on. But I mean, I think there's plenty going on here in Richmond. I mean, there's lots going on in the surrounding areas and in the city.
Was there anything that surprised you after you got here?
I think one of the things that my husband was concerned about was he felt it may be southern, like too southern, especially to live in DC area and DC metro area, and it's not. I feel like it's not southern.
Did anything surprise you after you made the move to Richmond? Something that turned out to be different than you were expecting?
The thing that sort of surprised me, and this is not necessarily a positive, but I was looking for a larger gym to work out in, like I had back in Fairfax, and couldn't find one. Nothing close by.
Did anything surprise you after you moved to Richmond?
Probably the traffic, especially like on North Belvedere Street around 5 o'clock, rush hour, but that's going to be anywhere you go.
When you moved back to Richmond, was there anything that surprised you when you came back after all that time?
Just all the new artwork was probably the newest thing for me because I left, and it was like to come back like 10 years later and see how just the art landscape had changed and just like kind of the layout had changed a little bit. That was nice.
What do you think about crime rates and safety here?
This question, I feel like people think Richmond, the crime, it's like so much crime. And there's going to be crime everywhere. Where you go, there's things in certain pockets. But like, I feel safe. My husband would probably leave our doors unlocked if it was up to him. But it's not.
I've felt safe when I'm walking around. There's a lot of people walking in the areas in the parks. And so, I'm not one to go walking at night, but I feel safe.
What do you think about crime rates and safety here?
I'm not sure. I know, but I think in any metropolitan area, you have to be aware of your surroundings and you have to, know where you are and just be smart about your own safety.
What's your experience been with crime and safety?
Safety, I do live close to an apartment complex that is rife with issues at times. So far, feeling if long as I lock my door, I'm good.
What are your thoughts about crime rates and safety?
Most people say it all depends on where you live, but the thing is, crime happens everywhere. So you can't do but so much to stop it. It's going to happen.
What do you think about crime and safety in the city?
As like a young female, I will say, like, you have your pepper spray, don't go out at night alone, things like that. Like, you're fine. I really haven't had like that big of an issue. Just lock your cars, because I know like car robberies can be big, but besides that, I haven't really had a problem.
Is there anything that you just hate about living in Richmond?
Probably it would be nice for more parking, but we can live with that.
I agree, the parking. Maybe if you move to Richmond, probably need to know how to parallel park.
Is there anything that you hate about the city?
Hate's a strong word. You know, I've heard a lot about the city government, but I think, again, in any major city, you're going to have issues with the government. You know, maybe sometimes some of the communication is not that great, but I mean, now that we live in a digital age, you can find out anything on your own, so you don't have to rely on a human or whatever. I guess the answer is no, really.
Is there anything you hate about being in Richmond?
You know, it's not really hate about Richmond. It's just that when you move, you got to start over as far as your network of friends and things like that.
Is there anything that you hate about living in the Richmond area?
Might be the only thing, maybe like it's not a big attraction. We have some sport teams, but we don't have any main official teams. You know? So I would say probably the attraction. They could do a little bit better with that.
Is there anything you hate about Richmond?
Probably the fact that I can't go like out by myself at night, but like that's going to be in any city, so it's not really specific to Richmond. But I mean, in a perfect world, I'd be safe anywhere.
So is there anything that you hate about the city?
Parking. To parking, because new people equals new parking, less parking spaces, you know, stuff like that. Parking can be a time on a good Saturday or Friday night. But other than that, it's pretty chill out here.
What's one thing that you especially love about Richmond?
I like that Richmond has a lot of different like environments. There are hiking trails, there are scenes downtown, there are different restaurants of, you know, the convenience store in my parking lot, but also there's really upscale restaurants, not that I frequent, but people could go if they wanted to.
I think I would say the history of Richmond. I'm really into history, and so I feel like there's so much to learn, so many different like tours you can do just to learn about. And I think a lot of people think it's just like one type of history, but it's like, I think it's broad. Like there's so much you can learn, and so that's what I love.
What's one thing that you love about your new city?
The accessibility, especially as you age. It's nice knowing that I can get to things pretty quickly, either medical or social or whatever.
Tell me one thing that you love about this city.
Honestly, I think one of the things that's really, I'm glad I'm living here now, is that the perspective of Richmond has changed as far as it's becoming more progressive.
What's one thing that you especially love about Richmond?
The art scene. I'm a theater major at ECU.
Okay.
For me, like when I was picking a school to go to, and like specifically why I chose Richmond, it's because of the opportunities that there are in the arts, and I love how the arts are to Richmond.
Is there something that you especially love about Richmond?
What I really love is the sense of community in most of the places, because like you can tell people take pride in where they're from up here. So that's what I probably say my favorite things.
Well, there you have it. A ton of great information and advice from the true experts, locals here in Richmond who are happy to tell you what they like and what they don't like about their city. Listen, my cell number is on the screen below. If you want to reach out, text or call at any time, happy to answer any questions you've got about Richmond. And if you found this video helpful, check out this one. More good stuff about life in Richmond, Virginia. Well, as always, thanks for your support. I'll see you in the next one.